Peace, 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 y'all. This your boy Rashawn, aka Looker, and this is Space Invaders TV. Make sure you subscribe and hit the notification button. So every time that I post something, you get it. I try to post every week. Last week I didn't post anything, but I did. If I don't post anything, most times I'll give a quick message or something on my other social media sites like Instagram, Rashawn Looker, RASHONE, Rashawn Looker, LOOKA. Same thing on Facebook. You can find me as well. So this week what I want to get into, man, is I want to talk about this vaccine. I want to talk about the voter ID law for North Carolina, and I want to talk about this new thing that I just this new article I seen pop up. The New York Times, the Trump administration, they signed off on a new U.S. citizenship test. It's longer and more difficult, so they're making the test to become a citizen in the United States more difficult than what it was or whatever, So I'm gonna read up on that right now. But like I said, make sure you subscribe to the page. Tell a friend to tell a friend. I talk about everyday life issues here. I talk about what we seeing in our communities and things of that nature. The things you sit around the table and talk with your friends and family about on your front porch, your back porch, in front of your building, wherever, on a bus. You know what I mean? Wherever you at, those issues, that you talk about that may arise in your community, or certain things that may arise, just that everyday conversation. That's what I have here. So I don't address no entertainment talk. I'm not into that, So I mean, I read it, I watch it, I see it. I'm into all news, but I just don't talk about those things here. I feel like it's enough of that talk that I ain't got no space in that. So so right now what I want to talk about is we're gonna touch on right now the citizenship. To become a citizen in the United States, they're making it harder. The Trump administration wanted to put this into play. I guess this is one of his other things he want to put into play before he exits out. But this is on from the New York Times, and it reads, the Trump administration is rolling out a sweeping changes to the tests immigrants must take to become a U.S. citizen, injecting hints of conservative philosophy and making the test harder for many learners of English. The new citizenship test that went into effect Tuesday is longer than before, with applicants now required to answer 12 out of 20 questions correctly instead of 6 out of 10. It is also more complex, eliminating some geography and adding dozens of possible questions, some nuanced and involving complex phrasing that could trip up applicants who do not consider them carefully. Of the 18 questions removed from the previous test, 11 questions that had simple, sometimes one-word answers. The new test adds one more hurdle for immigrants who hope to become voting citizens, coming in the waning days of an administration that has imposed substantial new barriers to immigration and limits on the ability of those already in the country to aspire to legal residence and eventually naturalization. One of the test questions that has drawn particular scrutiny provides a new answer to the question, who does a U.S. Senator represent? Previously, the answer was all people of the state. On the new test, it is citizens in the state. Singled out for a new question in the 10th Amendment, which reserves to the states all powers not specifically granted to the federal government, a part of the Bill of Rights that is a favorite among conservative questions, federal authority. Another new question, why did the United States enter the Vietnam War? has one answer that is considered correct to stop the spread of communism. The test does not take on the issue of the vehement protest or the huge death toll stemming from the war. So I'm gonna stop right there. So the purpose of that is what, you know, when I think about that administration, Trump administration, I'm glad that we gave him his eviction notice. He's out of here, you know, because it just seems to, you know, it just seems as if, you know, his whole thing is about dividing, and he has some issue. And he's, you know, my time on this earth, and then my adult years, period, you know, of paying attention and you know, present. Because I'm gonna tell you right now, if you are a young adult, you had no choice but to pay attention to this guy, because he was on the TV as a president every freaking week about some type of issue. So he would grab your attention. If you were getting grabbed, your attention was getting grabbed by new TikTokers or somebody on social media. If you're a young adult, if that was grabbing you, if you were a young adult, when I'm meaning 18, 20, 21, then Trump had to grab your attention, you know, because he was all over the place. He's tweeting crazy nonsense. So he's always been about the dividing and conquering. That's been his whole get down. So it's just funny to me, like, how he wants to put that, like, what is the point of that? You know what I mean? Like, what is the point of that? Unless you're something new, like you revamping the whole test, and you presenting something new, like, okay, these are the things that we need that you need to know coming into this country. If you want to be a citizen of this country, these are the things you want to know. You know. I don't know what that test looked like, but all I know, you let's be clear here. At the end of the day, the Indians were here first. Yeah, let's just be clear here. You know, so I don't know where that test start, but I know one thing: if you starting that test off, you need to start with that. Who were the first people here in this country? You need to start with them. They were here. I don't know about nothing else, and I hope you ain't got on that test that Christopher Columbus found this country. I hope that ain't on there. Who was the founder? I hope that ain't on there, because that's a damn lie. You know. So moving on, man. But yeah, so that's just crazy. I was just reading that, and I'm like, why is that necessary? Like, but this is somebody who had no, you know, somebody like Trump who had no political experience, and you know, he just doing crazy mindful stuff. He had no idea what it was to be a president, what it took to be a president, I should say. He no political experience at all. He had held any office. He hadn't ran for anything in politics. You know, it's just crazy to me, in a country where you have to get certain jobs, you have to have a certain skill set. But you can be a president with no political experience at all. You could become a president. As long as you got the money to run and whatever, you could become a president. That's the top office in this country. That is the craziest thing to me. Will never understand that for the life of me. You know, and you could become a president with no political experience at all, no knowledge at all, not even trying to learn anything at all as you go. But meanwhile, you're out here as an American citizen looking for a job. If you're looking for a job, you can't get certain jobs. You just can't walk. You can't walk into a hospital and say, hey, I'm a surgical, come here to do some surgery. I'm a surgical doctor, whatever like that, whatever. You can't walk into the hospital and just take that job, without showing no credentials. You won't be hired. You won't be hired without showing your board your certifications. You know what I'm saying? Anybody can. Like, you got online stuff today that you go take tests and say you're a doctor, but you have to show and prove. And if you do it, and if you are successful and break through, and with no experience in any of a medical or law field, whatever field it is, when they find out you're fraudulent, and you're frauding, guess what? You're going to jail. Going to jail. It happened to a young man a few years ago back in Florida. Young man, I don't remember his name. Young man was going around. You know, he was saying he was a doctor. He was doing stuff, and he was young. They caught up to him, locked him up. You know what I'm saying? So, hey man, and it's happened time and time again. So, anybody out here frauding, you going to jail. So it's amazing how this guy is a president with no experience. And then everybody was wondering, like, hey, this guy, like, he's fucking up everything. What'd you expect? He had no experience. He didn't even know what he was doing. I tell everybody this like this, when it comes to that situation. I got a book here, and titled The Fifth Risk by Michael Lewis. I tell you right now, you want to know what's up, read that book right there. You know what I mean? That book right there, man, it's not one of those books that's like it's bashing the president or anything of that nature. It's not bashing him. It is stating straight facts from the time he started, when he was running, to everybody he had around him, to the night before, the night of the elections, the election night. It tells you like what was going on and how he was moving. It tells you how he was picking members. I mean, it just goes in and they talk to people within the government, you know. And so man, check that book out, man. The Fifth Risk by Michael Lewis. It's a good read, and you'll understand a lot of things if you go in to read that book with a clear head. And it's not like Michael Lewis or whatever his team or whatever, they wrote that book and they were trying to bash. They were bashing him. No, they were just straight giving up the facts and talking and giving you a timeline. So that's what that is, man. But the voter ID law, I want to talk about that. I want to talk about this vaccine. So I'm going to go into the vaccines and speak about that. I have to find it, y'all. I'm going to my emails right now, looking, because I trying to find it. Let's see here. All right. So how do y'all feel about this vaccine? You know, because it's mighty funny to me now how they've been pushing this vaccine and everything. And I remember back in back in April of this year, April 2020, I remember listening to a segment on The Breakfast Club with Dr. Fauci. And they asked him, when would, I want to say Charlemagne asked him, when would the earliest, I'm not, don't quote me word for word, but Charlemagne pretty much asked him, when's the earliest we can expect the vaccine? Fauci clearly said, the earliest, it won't be this year at all. 18 months at the minimum. 18 months. Don't quote me word for word, but I'm telling you, I'm letting you know what was actually, you get what I'm saying, what was said and what was asked. You know, this ain't word for word, but Dr. Fauci said 18 months will be the earliest you can expect a vaccine. There would be no way that they could get one in the time that Trump was talking. Okay? So it's amazing to me how, you know, you see now when that vaccine is being pushed out, and you're seeing how, you know, after a while, Fauci start backpedaling, and you see he's been quiet. You know, they're talking, they're pushing this thing. They got it out there now, and they're gonna be flying it in and all of this. And then now you're only gonna the first people to get it are those working the hospitals. You know what I'm saying? Frontline workers. You know what I mean? Nursing homes. The nurses and CNAs or what have you working in nursing homes, things of that nature. They'll be the first ones to get it. But my thing is this. I want to say, yeah, all the medical field. I don't know about the police officers. I'm not for sure if they're going to be the first line to get it as well. But my thing is this. That's fine, but so we just not going to address the situation. And not only did Fauci say that on the Breakfast Club, that same day he went on to other media outlets, other news stations, and he said the same thing. He repeatedly said that it wouldn't be one this year. So it's amazing how they're pushing this thing. And what about the trials? What y'all test this on anyone already? Why haven't we heard about those tests? If you tested on anyone, have you had time to test it? Because if you've been preparing and putting this vaccine together, then how are you? So when did you have time to test folks? You know what I'm saying? So or is this first batch gonna be? There's actually gonna be the test right here. You know, so and you're gonna give it to the medical, anybody in the medical field. That's fine. But see, my thing is this: I want to see. Now, this gonna be the test for me. I want to see just how many people in the medical field gonna take it themselves. So if that's what we're doing, which, hey, whatever. I want to see how many people are going to take. I want to see how many in the medical field want to take it. That's what I want to see. How many doctors are going to turn that down? How many doctors are going to turn that down? I want to see. You know, I want to see how the doctors. I want to see these media outlets get in touch with these doctors and these different, especially in these big university hospitals and stuff like that. These big hospitals around the country. I want to see how they're going to respond, if they're going to take it, you know. And I want to see what they got to say about it, because as we always heard, you know, the first batch, never the good batch, you know what I mean? So I want to see what happens with that. And, you know, it's amazing to me that, you know, they've rushed this thing. And I feel like, you know, I already know what it was personally when it comes to the vaccine situation. Me personally, I don't take flu shots. You know, I'm all about, man, the herbal stuff, just cleansing your body and take care of your body and keeping the mucus levels down in your body, man, where, you know, drinking warm tea. Oftentimes, I don't even like to drink, you know, cold water in the winter months. It might sound, I like to drink, like if I'm drinking my bottled water, just give you an example. Like if I'm drinking my bottled water, I just, like in the winter months, I'll drink it room temperature. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't know how you guys' bodies are. I don't know. But I feel like in the wintertime, my mucus levels can get, you know, a little higher, because I feel like you know, the weather is changing. You become more, you're sniffling a little more. The weather is cold. You know what I'm saying? Moisture. You know what I mean? If you get what I'm saying. So I drink my water room temperature. My bottled water, I drink it room temperature. I don't mess with tap water. You know what I mean? So my bottled waters or whatever, I drink it room temperature. Cheese, and cleansing your body out. You know, looking up different things to cleanse your body up. Taking that vinegar, doing the vinegar, taking a couple teaspoons of vinegar every morning, which I've been slipping. I haven't taken any in quite some time, but I keep it in the house. You know what I mean? I haven't taken it because I haven't felt the need to, but lately, and taking vitamins, man, getting that vitamin C in your body, you know, um, um, uh, yeah, getting that vitamin C in your body, man. So, you know, it's just amazing to me with, you know, they've been pushing this vaccine and pushing this vaccine, but it's never no talk about what do we do to, what you can do as an American folks to keep yourself healthy. Instead of just promoting wear a mask, wear a mask, wear a mask, and hold on, the vaccine is coming. Like they want to post that for the big pharmaceutical industry so they could get that money, you know, for the medical field to get that money. You know what I mean? And that's what it is. They want you to spend. They want us to spend our money. They want us to, you know, the insurance companies to get that bank. You know what I'm saying, off of that. But what about just telling the people other things that they can do? Come on now. Come on, FDA. Stop playing, man. Let break through in the time of a pandemic. Y'all can't come out and say, oh, because it's gonna cut into the money of it's gonna cut into the pharmaceutical funds, huh? And that's the problem we got in this country, man. You know, the pharmaceutical industry. That's the problem we got, man. They're the fucking devil, man. And that's the problem we have, man. Because, you know, and it's just amazing. It's amazing that even during the pandemic, man, you know, they won't even they instead of keep saying waiting on a vaccine, which a lot of people don't take vaccines, man. Some people may be allergic to, you know what I mean? They can't, you know what I mean? So people have different allergies and things of that nature, I should say. So like everybody's not gonna take that vaccine. You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, it's like, how about telling people what to do health wise instead of trying to get people to subscribe to something that is a rush job and seems like destruction to me. When the guy clearly, like I don't mess with Fauci, I don't mess with that guy, but I'm just saying, like, he come up there and talk. He was being truthful and honest. He was being truthful at the beginning of this whole pandemic. When he came out to speak. I never heard of the guy before anyway until this pandemic, just like many of us have. Okay, but so they were throwing him out there. But when when he was being truthful about what he was saying, they wanted to, you know, Trump and them wanted to pull him back off of the TV. They wanted to get him off of the TV, or they wanted to denounce what he was saying. So when he was being truthful, and then when he felt like, I guess, I don't know, maybe he felt like his relationship with Trump or things were in jeopardy, he started backpedaling on what he was saying. But he haven't really come out and saying anything about this vaccine too much once they start going forward with it. He hasn't even said anything about it. Like how, like now that, you know, this month, December is here. It's here already. You know what I mean? They're gonna start distributing it soon in the next week or so or whatever. You haven't heard Fauci. You know what I mean? You haven't heard him, but I remember what he said from the beginning. And he said 18 months at the least. You can go back and fact check me. The Breakfast Club, punch in on YouTube, Fauci on the Breakfast Club in April. In April, I listened to that segment. I listened to that segment that day because I listened to them. To be honest with you, I kind of listen to them every day while I'm working. You know what I mean? I'll listen into them. You know what I'm saying, here and there. So I was listening to that to it that morning when he came on. So I listened to it firsthand. But you can go back yourself on here on YouTube if they haven't snatched it down. If they don't snatch it down, go on to punch in Dr. Fauci on the Breakfast Club. That's all you gotta do, and it'll pop up. Or you can put Power 105, Dr. Fauci on Power 105. However, it's gonna come up that show, and you'll see, and you read, and you hear, and you listen to them. Unless somehow it gets edited out between now You know what I'm saying? And between now and you getting this message from me. But check it out. You know what I mean? So it's amazing, man. That vaccine, I won't be taking it. You know, I don't even mess with the flu shots, man. You know, I don't even do that. You know, you hear some people saying that the flu shot gets some people sick. I wouldn't know because I don't even take it. You know what I mean? I don't know if it do or not because I don't even if it would get me sick. I don't even know, because what you gotta understand is putting it back into you, is injecting the flu in you so your body can, you know what I mean? And so your body can get immune to it to fight it off. So that's what the flu shot is. You know what I mean? So you telling me this vaccine is that? So this vaccine, you shooting at you could be shooting this damn corona. Is you shooting the corona back into people? All I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. So, but it's just funny to me how the COVID, it seems to want to mimic uh this whole COVID thing seems to want to mimic. It almost seems like it's like they want to reenact the 1918 pandemic, the H1N1, that happened in 1918, the influenza pandemic. It almost seems as if they want to mimic that, you know, whole thing with the numbers and everything. You see, because that pandemic, which was, you know, that went on from 1918 to about 1919, and it spread it worldwide. In the United States, it was the first identified in the military personnel in the spring of 1918. It is estimated that about 500 million people, or 1/3 of the world's population, became infected with this virus. The number of deaths was estimated to be at least 50 million worldwide, with about 675,000 occurring in the United States. So, where are our numbers at with the coronavirus right now, this present day? That this present day right now on December the 3rd, 2020. What is it? And it's so funny when we see the numbers. So right now today, the cases, United States, 14,274,000 deaths. So it's funny how they trying to, like, it almost seemed like I don't know, man. I ain't trying to get too deep into it, man, but it just almost seemed like they want to mimic what happened back then. You know, it's like they want to how can I say, like they want to have a comparison with, they want to have a, like, with that disease from back then, with that flu. You know, let me go ahead, man. Just walk with me for a minute. I'm just looking over some stuff here. So, like they say here, the 1918 H1N1 flu virus caused the deadliest pandemic of the 20th century. To better understand this deadly virus, an excerpt group of researchers and virus hunters set out to search for the lost 1918 virus sequence and some genome. Recreate the virus in a highly safe and regulated laboratory setting at CDC, and ultimately study its secret to better prepare for future pandemics. So, I feel like, is that what the coronavirus was? I'm gonna just leave that right there, man. You know what I'm saying? is they were going out to study to better prepare for future pandemics. So as the COVID one that got loose out of the lab that they were studying, they was because it is in the family of this pandemic here from 1918. It is in the family of that influenza pandemic of 1918. That's all I'm saying. So, man, it's just mighty funny, but I want to know what y'all feel about that vaccine. What's your ideas on it? Do you plan on taking it? I just feel like it's mighty fast. I feel like wouldn't it have been better to even, pretty much everybody, you had to wait a whole year for a vaccine, right? If, I'm just saying, wouldn't it have been better to just tell people what they could do health-wise, to put those bulletins out? Wouldn't it have been good if, if the CDC could just post something up on their page and say, hey, man, this is what you can take. Eat these, take these vitamins, this, that, and the third. Wouldn't it be better? It's a pandemic. This is worldwide. Wouldn't that have been better to do? You got the number of cases of COVID, what it's saying worldwide. Worldwide is 64.5 million total cases worldwide. Recovery is recovered from that is 41.5 million. The deaths are 1.49 million. So, yeah. So, wouldn't it have been better to just tell people, to have, wouldn't it be better if the CDC or, every state can have something where they posting it, where it runs through your news cycles, where the news can also post it up and say, hey, and let people know. See, those of us, we know that's like, we'll go, we on our health thing. It's just not all about, trying to find your nearest gym. We know that you could do calisthenics, you could go running and ride a bike, and you could be all right. You can just go for a nice walk. Or if you even work, if you're working and you work in a physical environment, you're getting your steps in, you're moving your muscles, you're getting them joints, you know what I mean? And those are so those of us that's on our health and you know your body and you trying to learn your body, it's so easy today, man, that you could just go online, you could go Google some things, whatever you're looking for, health wise, Google it. You can watch videos on it. I'm not here to try to be the doctor for you and tell you certain things, because I'm not a doctor and I can't say what your issue is and what you should do. Cause this ain't FDA approved, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want to tell you something that ain't FDA approved, you know what I mean? Then they start trying to flag me, you know what I mean? So, man, just look up what you need as far as health wise, whatever your health concerns are. Google it. Look it up on YouTube. There are people that'll be talking about it. You'll find everything you need. I mean, that's the power that we had today of the internet, of this worldwide www, World Wide Web. That's the beauty of it, is that you can type in whatever you're looking for, and it shall come up. So whatever your health concerns are, you can punch it up. Whatever you're looking for, supplement wise, natural herbal remedies of that nature. If your family members, if you don't have your, the elders in your family that can tell you, then you can really Google it and it'll come up for you. Whatever you're looking for, man. So whether it be high blood pressure, um, fat burning, which my thing when it comes to that type of stuff, man, is, hey, do calisthenics, do aerobics, go walking, ride a bike, You know what I'm saying? Like, that's riding a bike is a real fat burner right there. You know, and that's organically coming off, man. And just watching what you eat, man. Watching what you put in your body. You know, as I was talking to one of my family members the other day, and I just talked about, how we, um, you know, as we get older, there are things that we like we still feel young. Like I still feel young, minus this gray hair right here. I feel young, man. You know what I'm saying? I feel youthful, and I'm in the middle of my 40s. You know what I'm saying? So I feel youthful. Um, but our body changes. You know what I'm saying? It still changes. I can still run. I ain't gonna be for long like I used to. You know what I mean? At all. You know what I mean? But I can. But when you talk about things you eating, like say when you were young, you like eating spicy foods and stuff like that. When you get older, you notice that your body don't take to that. But see, we so used to mentally doing that, we'll still eat these things that our body now tends to reject once you get older. You know what I'm saying? You notice that your body is rejecting those things, but you still keep eating it like, man, this is my shit. And then every time you eating it, it's taking you back to your childhood. You eating whatever it is. If you like eating them flaming Cheetos and all of that, or you know what I'm saying, a burger with the works on it, or a hot dog with the works, or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Whatever your guilty pleasure is. You know what I mean? And you woofing it down, and you think about your childhood. That sometimes you eat certain things, especially when it comes to the candies and the cakes and stuff like that. You eating things, man, and it take you back, but your body rejects them. And sometimes you don't pay attention to it. You're just thinking like, maybe my stomach upset. No, your body is actually rejecting it, and you can't stomach those things anymore, or you can't eat as much of it as you used to. You have to eat small portions of it because your body can no longer handle that. So your body goes through changes, and we have to pay attention to that. You know, and eventually we have to stop eating those things. It's life. We change. Things change. You know what I'm saying? Every living being changes. You know what I mean? Whether we like it or not, we change. Our physical appearance could change. Um, so if we change physically outside, then your insides, you gotta understand that they're changing too. You know, but in order for those organs to keep pumping as they should, and the blood to continue to flow as it should, and your blood levels, your pressure and everything of that nature stay down, then we have to change the way that we eat, our lifestyle. Um, and when you think about diabetes and things of that nature, you know that and this is just factual. This is not nothing that I'm just making up out the top, pulling out of my ass. We all know, like, diabetes, it all comes with your weight. That's why every time you will go to the doctor always say, oh, you got to get your weight down. Oh, you got to get your weight down. Oh, you got to stop that. You got to watch what you're eating. We got to take those gems right there when they telling you those things early on. See, and then you come back and it be 10 years down the road, the doctor tell you, see, I told you, I was telling you to lose that weight. I told you to stop eating so much of that spicy stuff. Like, and then now you got acid reflux, and yeah, which is a form of a heartburn, having heartburns. Now, you know what I mean? Now you got to take the pills for that, and this, that, and the third, because now it's out of control. But if you just lose the weight, watch what you eat, curb what you eat. We need sugar in our body and salt. Our body is made up of that. We need that. But it's moderation. You don't have to go and get everything super sized and everything. You get small portions of things. Okay, if you're gonna buy the whole cake, why you gotta eat the whole cake? Why you gotta get the biggest portion of it? Just get a small portion. You know what I mean? You'll be surprised as you get older how much we will be satisfied. Like you could be satisfied just by getting a small portion of things, or eating it in moderation. If you eat a small portion at 2 o'clock, say you take that large portion of something, but break it down in twos. You say, I'm gonna eat this half at this time, then later on, if it ain't not too late, I'm gonna go back and eat this portion at this time. So you spreading it up, you breaking it down. That's all that is. But yo, I'm gonna get in real quick to this voter ID situation here, y'all. And they're talking about for North Carolina. It's funny how North Carolina a couple years ago, the voter ID situation, which it does hinder black and brown folks. When I mean that, I mean our blacks and Hispanics, because if you don't have ID, they're saying now that you can't. For North Carolina, now they're saying that they just put this in place. The judge just reversed it when a judge said 2 years ago that was unconstitutional. Now the judge is saying that, oh no, it was some flaws in there. Yeah, although we know that it's suppression, voter suppression. North Carolina has a history of voter suppression, but he still passed it to say now this time this year 2020 that now they pass it this month, pass it and says, oh yeah, well yeah, the voter ID, we're gonna reverse it. Yeah, you're gonna have to have an ID when you come to vote. So 4 years from now, remember what I'm saying to, if you're a citizen of North Carolina, make sure you have an ID if you're going to vote. Make sure your ID is up to date and everything, man, because they're trying to suppress any way that they can. But I'm gonna say this real quick, and I know a lot of southern states have that voter ID law. A lot of the other states, voter ID required. Georgia, Indiana, Kansas, Mississippi, North Carolina, Tennessee, Virginia, Wisconsin. Who else here? Yeah. Yep. So the states with the strictest voter ID laws: Georgia, Indiana, Kansas, Mississippi, New Hampshire, North Dakota, Tennessee, Texas, Virginia, and Wisconsin, all have the strictest voter ID requirements for voting. And it says some states like North Carolina recently amended earlier voting ID laws to bump them from strict category into the non-strict one. So, but now it's strict now. You know what I'm saying? It's strict because it just came through yesterday or whatever. Then you had the states. So, and then they say what states have free voter ID. And so it's 5 states that have free voter ID, which is Georgia, Indiana, Missouri, Tennessee, and Wisconsin. Hold on, y'all. Yeah, so like I was saying, at least 5 states, Georgia, Indiana, Missouri, Tennessee, and Wisconsin, offer free IDs that residents can only use to vote. So you can get an ID for when you need to vote. South Carolina and North Dakota, 2 of the states that require residents to have ID to vote, passed laws in 2011 to give free identification cards. So if you're in a state that has those strict voter ID laws, if you don't know, now you know. Make sure, in North Carolina should have the same thing as well, and I'll keep y'all up to date with that. Like I said, they just reversed it, and it went in yesterday, December the 2nd, 2020. So, those kinks or whatever should be getting worked out, and I'll keep y'all up to date to that with that to let you know if you're in the state of North Carolina, you can be able to get a free voter ID card, so you will be able to have ID so you can go and vote. But yeah, it's all about suppression. But my whole thing about that, when I think about this, you know, the country is moving different. And as we seen during this pandemic and the different protests, the police brutality that's been happening across the country, the country is going to be different. I think in the next, I mean, personally, me personally, but then the next, and some people may say that's that, man, you crazy. But just hear me out for a minute. Just hear me out. In the next 20 years, I think this country is going to be in a total different place. We're not going to see so much of the racist behavior we have seen thus far. The reason I say that is because, don't take this the wrong way. I'm just hear me out and hear where I'm coming from with this right here. I think a lot of the people, like a lot of the ones that are racist, they're dying off. The heavy racists are dying off. You know what I'm saying? Hear me out clearly, and get where I'm coming from. Those that you've seen out there protesting over this year, you know, protesting and marching around the country. If you just checked out, just looked at, and even now, just go back and look at the videos of those protests around the country. Look at those that weren't black or black and brown folks that were our white brothers and sisters that were out there marching with us that were tired. They were younger. They weren't the old. They weren't those baby boomers. They weren't those from the 60s that still carried that hatred inside of them, and from the 70s that, you know, that were going around marching, doing this, going around causing ruckus, doing protests back in the 60s and things. These were younger. So when you look at that, and this was all around the country, from Washington State, California, New York, you know what I'm saying, Minnesota. When you looked at those people in the crowd, those whites that were marching, you know, those young white brothers and sisters that were out there marching, they were tired. They were feeling the pain. They were tired of being looked at because of what their ancestors done to us. That too many of us that are their friends, and when these things happen, they have to look at us. They don't know what to say to us. You know what I mean? They don't have the answers because they don't feel the way that their ancestors felt with all of that hatred. So then they're flaming, they're heated. You know what I'm saying? So the next 20, 30 years tops, all of this hatred is going to be out of here. As we seen with this, and another thing, I'm going to make another point and I'm going to wrap this up. Even with this Biden, with this campaign here, with this presidential race, you've seen it. People were dancing. Those same cities that were marching, you seen marching, blah, blah, blah. They were dancing in the street, black, white, brown. We were dancing in the streets. And it wasn't because people felt like Biden was going to do so much more. It's because everybody was on the same page and they got this guy out of there. All of that hatred. People were dealing with so much. They don't want to continue to see this on their television and hear this on their television, or clicking on the social media and hearing a so-called president spewing this hatred. People didn't want to hear that. They had to deal with their own problems inside their home now. Their way of life has been altered, changed because of this pandemic, and they're trying to figure out where the next meal going to come from, if they're going to have a roof over their head, if their business is going to be able to sustain for the rest of 2020, what is going to happen in 2021 for their business and their lifestyle, you know. So people don't want to deal with that crap. They don't want to hear that. So this presidential race was another thing that showed you that, hey, maybe if this was in the 60s, Trump would be back in there. he would be back in there. But guess what? Everybody don't have that hatred in them. And as I said, you know, I was speaking with my grandmother, and I remember I was speaking with her a week or so, two ago, and we were talking about the presidential race and everything, and I said to my grandmother, I want to believe and I know that everybody is more love in this country than it is that hate. I know that there's more love in this country than it is that hate, you know. And so the country, so the states that voted for Trump, I'm not surprised at all in those states that voted for Trump. I'm not surprised at that. Those states, the states that stood up, I expected those states to stand up. And I'm from the tri-state area, which is New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Boston, Connecticut, Long Island. Like, I'm from that. I'm from the tri-state area, so I knew. Yeah, Pennsylvania probably went for Trump that his first time, but this next time they wasn't gonna go. They wasn't gonna rock with him. So I wasn't surprised. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't surprised when they flipped on him. You know what I mean? Because, hey man, I'm from the area. People, they only gonna give you one shot. And if you fuck up, that's it. You know what I'm saying? So when you look at the map, you go and look at the map, the voter, where everybody, go back and look at where the electoral votes were, where each candidate, what states they captured. Go back and look at the map. You'll see Biden from what was it? From Virginia on up. That's Biden. All the way going back up north. That's Biden. When you look at from North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia stood up, going into Florida, those states, Mississippi, all of that, Louisiana. I was surprised. Texas, I was a little surprised at Texas. You know what I'm saying? But then you go further out, southwest, going back on the west coast, and I'm just going down around the perimeter of the map, going on the west coast from the southwest, going around to the west, up west coast, up to the northwest of the country. All Biden. When you looking at the Midwest, I wasn't. So those states, some of those states, I wasn't surprised. So anybody that voted for the Kentuckys, I wasn't surprised that Kentucky voted for Trump. I mean, come on, man. Look at the guy, Mitch McConnell. You know what I'm saying? He's a rep for Kentucky, man. And look what all was going on in that state, and this guy holding up. You know, the country's in a freaking pandemic, and people are struggling. They're still going back and forth arguing across the aisle about giving up another stimulus package, about helping the people. They're supposed to be for the people. The people, whether whatever, they got put in their positions as senators and reps of states. Mainly because a lot of us weren't paying attention, but I believe now a lot more of us are paying attention to our local level governments, and paying attention to those branches, the mayors, the governors, the senators, the reps. Now it's going to be a change, and now people, because we already know the presidents don't have that no pull. It's the senators. They the ones, the House, that they pass those legislations. They get the legislation passed. They the ones passing these things, these laws that can hinder or better your state, you know. So yeah, man. So I'm not surprised, man. I'm not surprised at all. But yeah, just make sure that y'all, you know, if you're in the state, make sure you're looking up the voter ID laws. If you're new to that state, look up and say, I'm gonna tell you now. I'm in Carolina, so if you're new to Carolina, and make sure you got your ID, or make sure you looking up And I try to keep y'all posted on that too with the voter ID, to getting a free ID, because the states I ran down to you that give out the free IDs, where you can get an ID to vote, are go back here for y'all, man. Boo 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 boo. Georgia, Indiana, Missouri, Tennessee, and Wisconsin offer free IDs that residents can use to vote. So, South Carolina and North Dakota, two other states that require residents to have ID to vote, passed laws in 2011 to give free ID cards. So, those are the states that give out the free ID cards for you to vote. If you didn't know that, now you know. North Carolina, I'm speaking about how they were one that said they weren't gonna, you didn't need an ID to vote. It's been reversed. It went into effect. They just put that up yesterday. It went into effect that now a judge has reversed that, and now you're gonna have to have a voter ID to vote. So you got 4 years to get that straight, y'all. You know what I mean? And if not, like I said, North Carolina should have offer free IDs so residents who don't have ID can vote. Y'all, I'm your boy Rashawn, aka Looker. Make sure y'all subscribe to the page, y'all. Hit the notification bell. Tell a friend to tell a friend. You know, so every time I post something, you will know. Drop your comments below if you got comments on any things I spoke about. As I said, Space Invaders TV, before the people. I talk about, you know, everyday life situations. I talk about different political situations. I'm all about each one, teach one. You know what I mean? That's what Space Invaders TV is about, and that's what I'm here for. I ain't here for to have all the millions of followers. As I just said, it's all about each one, teach one. Hey, I'm happy with it if I get a view a day. It's only tops is only 31 days in a month. In a month, tops. So if I could get 31 people to watch my video in a month, hey, I'm good. Who says you need all these people? Because guess what? If I get 25 people in a month to view my video, guess what? Those 25 people will go on and share that, because if you're watching my video, then I know that you are in tune with some of the things and you interested in those topics, and these are the things that you speak about or things you want to know yourself. So you will be more inclined to talk to other people about it, so the word will get around. So make sure you subscribe, hit the notification bell, so every time that I post, you'll get it, you'll know, you won't miss it. Peace and blessings to all y'all, man. And I'm gonna make sure to try to load up another video next week. Like I said, I load once a week, you know. So next week I'll be coming to you with a different topic, man. Until then, y'all stay safe, stay blessed. One.